As the shooting inside Marjorie Stoneham Douglas High School behind me unfolded, one junior was trapped along with classmates, and the first thing she thought to do was to text her sister. 17-year-old Hannah was hiding under her teacher's desk as she texted her older sister Caitlin at work. And here is some of their exchange. Caitlin says, "There is a shooter on campus. I am not joking. Call 911. Please send them to Douglas." Hannah, what are you serious right now? Caitlin, "I am not joking. They just shot through the walls. Someone in my class is injured. I am not joking. Call mom and dad. I don't have service, or I'd call. I'm calling 911. And then I'll call mom and dad. I am so scared, Caitlin. Tell them I love them so much." "I know, Hannah, you're going to be fine. I'm so scared." "I know you are. Daddy is on his way to the school. Hannah, keep texting me, please. Tell them I love them so much." And Caitlin and Hannah Carbochi join me now. Girls, gosh, it is so powerful to read the messages that you were sending to each other. So Hannah, tell us what was happening.
I was inside the freshman building on the first floor when we heard the shooting, and it came in towards the right side of the building. We have been practicing drills for months since we got back from winter break, and even before that. So when it first happened, we all thought it was a drill, and as soon as it got closer and closer, we all ran towards my teacher's desk for safety. I finally got under the desk after about a minute of shooting, and I was with another girl and my fellow classmate, and as the shooting was going on, you can hear it, the glass shattering through all the halls and the bullet holes piercing the walls and everything, and it was just so horrible.
And why was your first instinct, the first thing that you wanted to do was text your sister?
I tried getting through to my parents first, but since we had no service in the building, but I was connected to the Wi-Fi, the only people I could get a hold of were iPhone users, and I knew my sister would have her phone on it if it was an emergency.
And sure enough, she did.
Yes.
And so, Caitlin, tell us what happened when you first got, we read the text. Obviously, at first you thought, are you joking? You hoped she was joking, and then what happened?
I was at work and I received the text messages, and thankfully I had been on my phone because normally I just leave it to the side, and I had it on ringer, and I saw that she texted, and I was hoping it was just her typical text saying, "Please save me from this place, like get me out of here, I just want to go home." But it wasn't, and she said there was an active shooter, and I immediately just paused and I started shaking, and I was hoping that she was joking with me, but I knew she wouldn't just have me prank call 911. So I knew it was serious, and I just started shaking and I started crying immediately, and my coworker came over and tried to console me, but my main concern was to make sure that she kept texting me, so I knew she was okay.
And did she keep texting you?
She did keep texting me. She was going back and forth between me and my cousin, so sometimes I didn't get the red notification right away, which scared me. But she did keep texting me, and I got a hold of my dad. I tried calling 911, but so many people were calling, and I got a hold of my dad, and he immediately jumped in his truck and came down here, and he called 911 and got through. And he kept me updated, and he called me once he knew that she was out of the building and she was on the phone with him.
You guys exchanged 77 text messages during this. And so, Hannah, did you think that these were possibly the last messages you were going to be sending out?
Yeah, and I really hoped it wouldn't be, but when you're in the moment, it's you just praying to God that everyone knows that you love them and that you're okay.
And that was the message. If these were your last messages, what did you feel so compelled to say?
I wanted her to make sure that she knew that I loved her. I wanted my brother to know that I loved him. I wanted my parents to know that I loved them, and I wanted all my family to know that I loved them so much, and that if anything were to happen to me, that I would be okay.
I'm so sorry that you, at 17, have to think about this and have to send these messages. Were there friends of yours who didn't make it?
There was 4 to 6 people in my classroom that got shot, and 2 of them, Nick Dward and Helena Ramsey, they didn't make it.
That is so devastating. And where were they? Why were you able to walk out?
I was able to walk out because the way our classroom is set up, there's not much space behind the teacher's desk to hide. So with the 30 kids that we had in our class, only so many of them could fit behind her desk. and a lot of them had to line up on the wall near where you can see through the window. And so they were the unlucky ones in our class.
And the gunman was shooting through the window?
Yeah, he shot through the door of our, and the door has a window, and he shattered the glass and was shooting through the walls and everything, so, yeah.
How are you going to go back to school and class without two of your classmates? I mean, 17, obviously, of your schoolmates, but in your direct class.
It'll definitely be really hard knowing that we're missing such a big part of our class. They had such beautiful personalities and they were great people. So it's definitely going to be really difficult to go back and see the classroom and know what happened there.
Caitlin, did you think that these were possibly the last words you would get from her?
I did. I went here all 4 years of my life, and you always see this stuff around everywhere, and you never think it's going to happen to you so close to home, or even in the high school that you went to. And I was just so scared that, because I was there with her for 2 years, and I was scared, and I was like, why couldn't this happen at least when I was there, or without her being there?
Because
I'd rather be in her shoes instead of her going through it.
That is such a beautiful sentiment. We've heard so many family members say that they would have taken bullets for their loved ones who
Absolutely.
ended up dying. So what messages were you sending to her if you thought that these were going to be your last communications ever?
She knows I love her, but I wanted to make sure she knew that I loved her, and I wanted to keep her positive and calm, and I wanted her to know that she was going to make it. She kept telling me to tell my parents that she loves them, but in my head, I just kept saying, no, you're going to be able to tell them. Like, you're going to make it out okay.
Did you believe that, or were you just telling her
I wanted to believe it. There was times where she wasn't answering right away, and I thought maybe she wouldn't be, but I was really hoping that she would make it out.
I mean, thank God for modern technology that you two were able to communicate and able to reach out to get to the authorities. What happened when you saw each other after this was all over?
Oh, I had raced home from work when I knew my dad was on the way with her, and as soon as I walked through the door, I just dropped everything in my hands and immediately hugged her for so long, and we both started crying our eyes out because I was just so happy to see her, and I'm glad she was okay.
And what was it like for you when you saw your family again?
When my dad picked me up, he picked me up about a mile that way down Pine Island Road, and he was coming from work. He turned on his lights and work truck because he works for BSO. So when he finally found me and picked me up, I was a mess. I was just so happy that I could see my dad again.
And what was it like when you saw your sister?
When I saw my sister, I was really thankful that she kept me calm through everything, because if it wasn't for her, I would have been a mess through the entire thing. I wouldn't have been able to reach any of my family. She was the only family member besides my cousin that was going to Glades at the time that I had contact with. So I knew that I was really thankful to see her, and I was really thankful for her through the entire thing.
And what were the other kids, while you were sending these 77 text exchanges, what were the other kids in your classroom doing?
A lot of the other kids that were not fortunate enough to sit behind my teacher's desk, they were trying to hold the wounds and injuries of the kids who were injured in our classroom. A lot of the kids, they were on their phones trying to text their families, but we had no service in there, so a lot of them were not going through. My teacher, she was trying to call 911. She had no service. She was trying to get in contact with her husband. And just one of the kids, his name is Matthew Walker, he was videotaping through it, and that's where one of the videos comes from in my classroom. And then he took a picture of the laptop at the end, and that laptop was at my desk, and it had 3 bullet holes through it. Yeah.
This is just all so chilling, and we just pray for you that you're going to be able to go back and function after all of this in high school. You should never have to have endured all of this, but I'm so glad that you survived and that your sister was the voice of calm throughout all of this, and that you guys were reunited. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.